Rob Grimes with the IFBTA, and today I'm really very pleased to have in the studio, which is like not normal, but in the studio to have our guest Brett Smith, who's the Vice President of Product Strategy and Management at PAR Technology, and PAR is one of our industry supporter members. So welcome to the studio, Brett.
Thanks for having us.
So, I want to start out because it's funny. You would assume that with its long history, everybody would know who PAR is, but I'm not going to make that assumption because we have a lot of really great companies emerging in the industry, and we have a lot of members actually outside the U.S. and around. So why don't we start out with who is PAR?
So one of the most important things to recognize is that we have about 70,000 restaurants that open their doors every day with PAR technology. That's over 110 countries. And so we started in 1978 providing POS to McDonald's and then McDonald's at scale. We moved into the hardware business and we started to accumulate software, point of sale software. We built many generations of POS. We moved into cloud POS. We moved into loyalty. We moved into back office, labor, inventory, enterprise reporting. And most recently, we moved into e-com with our acquisition of Menu. The whole period of time, we're a hardware provider, and we provide drive-through equipment, timers, and headsets.
But do you want to, so first of all, you gave just a whole bunch of information in there. So if I were to break it down, and I know this, some of this, but when you look for global solutions out there, there aren't a lot of people that are in 110 countries to begin with, okay? And it's not all about hardware because you've also mentioned cloud, you mentioned software solutions in different sets. So do you believe that people would equally view PAR as a hardware company or a software company or both in their individual standalone right?
So that's interesting because we are known, like tried and true from the 80s. We've been providing hardware. So a lot of companies or a lot of our customers see us as hardware. And then adoption over time as we move in more and more into software, we'd like our identity to change and make sure that people know the breadth of our portfolio. So internationally, they'll know us more about hardware. And we also have Pixel Point POS that's sold largely in
what are the brands and product names that we should know?
So let's the PAR hardware stands on its own right. Pixel Point was our point of sale. It drove us through, let's say the late 90s, early 2000s. And then we acquired Brink. Brink is one of the first cloud-based POS. And I say that because at the time, in 2010, when the founders started to build it, you and I remember it as a budding ASP. Take something off-premise or on-premise and move it into some hosting center.
ASP is Application Solution Provider, for those who may not know that term.
So as a company, we look for the innovation coming from different places, sometimes through acquisition. So Brink POS is synonymous for quick service software. Right, and we have very large brands that are using it every day.
I would point out, though, that when Brink became part of the PAR family, if I remember correctly, the average number of units was 10 to 15. And today it has scaled to the point where it's thousands of units in a single customer.
Absolutely. We just recently tested for over 8,000 locations.
Which is what PAR brought to the table there.
Yeah. It needed fortification and enterprise, and we did that along that product line. And as that product grew into the large enterprises, we also acquired, it was Restaurant Magic, now it's Data Central.
Right.
And Data Central is one of these really under talked about product for us. I'm responsible for its product management.
You do realize we got a microphone you can talk about.
And I will.
Okay.
Right. So here's the stage, right? So they have the ability to take all this data in, right, from all the different types of POS, not just ours. So they're POS agnostic. They're collecting the data. They're also doing labor scheduling, labor analysis reporting, and so on. They are also full breadth of inventory, right? So all of the from the function of forecasting all the way down to placing the order and receiving, all that stuff that is necessary across the different stores and brands, it's done. But the uniqueness about it is the enterprise reporting. This is where our customers fall in love. They fall in love because of the customization and the ability. But then the technology folks that sit behind it and make it work for the operators, they see the unsung story of being able to take what they produce in a custom report, press a few buttons, and it turns out to be a customized API published right then and there. So the Data Central is really trying to bring forward, not only do we have a back office solution, but how that data becomes portable in and out of the
Portable
system.
to other systems that they might, in and out. I think that was very key because it's in and outside the system. So just before we move off of that, can any of these individual products be purchased on their own, is standalone?
It's terribly important that we keep it that way.
Okay, so
Right.
each one. So
Each
the hardware, Pixel Point,
Yep.
Brink, Data Central, they can be purchased on their own, so it's not an all or nothing
Right.
situation, right?
Right.
And are there some other products we need to throw out there real quick
Yes,
before we go
yeah.
on the conversation? So go ahead.
So we have Punch Loyalty,
Of course.
and so that's marketing focused and driving offers, right?
And that definitely stands on its own. I
And
see them out
stands
there on
on,
its
right.
own.
And they have an enormous amount of integrations too. It's always a discipline that you need to carry with product vision that you can't stand alone in an enterprise, right? Our problems of integrating our own solutions exist in the customer's ecosystem. So if it's somebody else's point of sale and they still need Punch, we need to make sure that happens, right? And that's likewise for all of our different components inside the portfolio. So Punch, right? Great product. One of the coolest things about Punch is that 6 out of 10 adults in the United States exist in our databases. That's an enormous number, and an enormous way of thinking about who our customers are and our brands.
Am I supposed to ask you how do they exist in the databases? I mean, what the data feeds are coming in? It must be
So
also because of your links to outside data.
Well,
Third-party
actually, no.
data.
These are enrollments for loyalty, and it shows you the breadth of our customers, right? So Taco Bell relies on us. TJF relies on it. So think of the bigger brands, and they're all really focusing on.
But if one of those brands is, so 6 out of 10. So if you got 6 out of 10 out there,
Yep.
is that data proprietary in use to the brand that brought it in, or is some component of it something that if somebody decides to do business with PAR, that they're able to get some advantage by you
No.
having that data?
So our customer data are their data, right? And so in order to get to that number, we dedupe across, right, and come up with that. That's not an available platform. When a customer like TJF or whomever subscribe to our products, they bring in their own customers, and those customers are theirs. It's not a marketplace for getting.
Well, there are
wireless.
places to get marketplace data,
Of course.
when you're looking at locations and things like that. So, but this is actually a data point because you said that data can be provided outside and accessible outside as well, so they can provide their own data somewhere
And that's
to be used
where
with the rest, right?
That's where you get the demographic data, and brands may decide to take outside data and bring them in.
So before we leave sort of who is PAR, because we've gotten a lot here.
I have one more.
Oh, one, okay. And there's more. So, okay, so
Right.
what's the one more?
So last August, we purchased a company called Menu. And don't let me start with SEO challenges, right, to find a product called Menu on the internet. But
Hey, don't you think that Menu would cause SEO challenges on the internet?
So we found this company. We're in love with them. They provide first party ordering. They provide driver and dispatch. So as far as your approach to online and delivery, we can cover that. They're also an aggregator for all the online marketplace, right? And be able to use their drivers as well. So if you're looking for an online strategy, we can cover all different pieces of the online presence. And imagine that it attaches to Punch Loyalty. And
But
Brink
they
and
can
the
also
rest.
buy it standalone.
Absolutely.
Right. So
Yep.
it gets, okay, so now do we have the whole breadth of products
Yeah,
as
I
they
think I
exist
got it
today?
now. Yep.
Okay. So if I have that, where certain pieces, because gosh, you started out really building a business for McDonald's, which is not a small company.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had PAR Brink who came in, which was really doing small companies. And then you have these. So today, it's not a matter of scale, but do you believe, does PAR have technologies and offerings for the independent all the way up to the largest of enterprise?
We do. There's so we also have a distribution business, right? So we have a channel business. So Brink is available at the lower tiers, right, through our
I
distribution.
would have asked that question. So.
And so I can walk in and I can see Brink operating on its own in a single restaurant. our sweet spot starts around 10 restaurants when people start to think about
Multi-unit,
multi-restaurant.
right, sure.
So, but it doesn't prohibit us.
So now I need to put you on the spot the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
So you got really excited talking about the power of Data Central, which used to be Restaurant Magic,
Yep.
but enhanced to be Data Central. So when I think about that, and there's so many discussions about how much data is available to restaurateurs today, is that also a product that is just as actionable down at the single unit level as well as the big one because they have different data needs, or is it really for a specific segment?
So I look at it two different ways. One is our customers, our enterprise customer, has franchisees that have one store, so it serves the need that way, and with the economy of scale, it's well affordable, right? So when thinking about how an individual restaurant runs, we solve that problem, and we intertwine it with the enterprise overall. So if you look at a restaurant that has one unit, right, and do they have a full inventory system? Have they invested in the full inventory system?
Probably not.
Right. They may have invested a little bit more in labor, right? And so we see adoption of labor earlier in the number of restaurant technology adoption, right? Enterprise reporting, absolutely, because the insights you get are not just the register feed.
But it has to be actionable. If you're a smaller unit, you have to know how to use it. It has to be in a format that they understand,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And so that's different than the big people who are going to go ahead and put it in their own format, their own reporting. So how do you accomplish that?
So we have about 150 standard reports that lead to decision and action, right? Some of them, of course, will be financial readouts.
Did you just say decision and action?
Yeah.
So I sort of look at it like decision in action.
I can see it both ways.
You're not the marketing guy, though. You're the strategy guy.
Right.
So take that back.
So it's true. So when you're actually building out your batch recipes in the morning, right? It's best to have the data behind it that stands up and makes sure you're aligned with food cost and forecast. Right. So the decision making is helped, right, and the actions are followed through. Now, what I didn't mention in the broad description is we have task management. So we can actually follow up so that batch recipe that's being made and then we have a way to adhere to it, right? So all along in the kitchen and out in the front, we have a way to action tasks, report on them, and look for anomaly and address issues.
So one of the key things that the industry faces, in the old days, it was on-prem, off-prem, software as a service, hardware as a service, the cloud, right? We get that, right? But what seems now to be really at the forefront of the industry is payments, especially brought about by e-commerce and delivery and a number of different things like that. But many applications are also offered that way, based upon a payment strategy. So is PAR, how does PAR integrate and work within the payments environment?
So our products are agnostic to payment solutions, meaning we're open, but we also have our own payment solution. So we can offer incredibly competitive pay transaction rates as in the market. But again, we look at how do we impact the industry, not just by using pay as pay, but how does it connect with, let's say, our point of sale, our loyalty, and even online. So working with Apple, we were lucky enough to work with them, and we basically can eliminate loyalty apps, loyalty cards, and so on, leveraging the Apple Wallet. So today,
you sell a loyalty app, right?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that.
Yep.
Okay.
But
So how are you doing that?
Innovation is innovation, right? So
innovation is a service.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
There you go. So when you look at the friction of gaining loyal guests, right, and then also using it, you could sit outside of a restaurant and they'll have a QR code, right, and you go, I want to be a participant. So you got your phone and you hit the QR code, and then you're asked to fill out an online form, and you're hoping it will cycle through before you actually get to the place you order, and then at the end it maybe will be there, and so on and so forth, right? So, or you're downloading the app and doing the same thing that's not in a web app, but in an own app. So with partnering with Apple, we saw this as a huge friction to gain those loyal customers, and then also how they come back and repeat. So when you walk up to one of our customers,
You make it easy to pay.
and make it easy to pay.
Is it only going to be Apple, or are you also doing, Google Pay or
so,
any of the
so
other
they're not as
wallets?
evolved as Apple at this point
Mm-hmm.
with this type of solution, but I imagine it'll come through. So imagine you walk into the restaurant and you place your. I'm going to just use a counter service, right? And at the time to pay, you can tap your phone. It'll inquire and say, hey, with an Apple, notification, do you want to join? Yep. Press the button. And you'll be very familiar if you're an Apple user. Yes, I want to join. I want to join this loyalty program. Apple assists the information share that goes over to
so
Punch.
it's just a
right?
single-
So it's clean. It's clean data, right? That may likely be deduped already. And all of a sudden, that person's in your loyalty system. But it's not over, because you still can pay. So the wallet, the loyalty, and the payment on Apple that you
Right.
have in your payment is all done, right? And so that's first pass. Next pass, when you're returning, because now you're a loyal user and it's really easy, you tap again, and those offers that are becoming built, right? Maybe it's your first time enrollment offer that shows up for your next order, and so on and so forth, all done with the phone. Tap, done. So think about all of those different places where friction shows
Single
up.
stroke transaction.
So we call it single tap, right?
Frictionless.
Yeah.
So, all right, so single tap. So you're in the payment side too. So now I'm just sitting here racking my brain. I'm looking at a quadrant here, and I'm just saying, did we miss anything? And it sounds like you really have, the solutions all the way across the board.
We
with
do.
Payments being the one that seems to be one of the hotter areas right now, because there's new ones coming up all the time. And
Right.
clearly a partnership with Apple, is going to make sure that they're also connected in it as
Yep,
well.
yep.
And it's global.
And we had the chance to bring our executive customer advisory board to the Apple campus for a half day for our last meeting. And I just want to point out one other thing with your community as well as ours. When we were forming our executive customer advisory board, we included operational COOs in our board, as well as CTOs and CIOs and so
Absolutely.
on, because it requires that point of view.
And we tell people, if you're selecting a system, you need to get people who work with it, not
Exactly.
just the IT people and not the
Yep.
corporate management.
So
it's
it's
the same
absolutely
thing.
imperative.
We're really pleased to have PAR Technology as an industry supporter member, and
Thanks for
very
having us.
pleased to have Brett Smith, who is well known in the industry and has that reputation that he brings to PAR and the experience there as their Vice President of Product Strategy and Management. And so thank you for your support of the industry and
Thanks
for
for
your
having us.
support of the IFBTA.
All right, thanks.